Alright, so hi y'all, it's Tiffany. Before I start, if you hear a humming noise, that's my fan because I'm in Texas and it's like 80 degrees already. Close to 80, it's 77. But let's get down to brass tacks. If you were following me, my tweets today, you know, well, it's not just today. This has been a long time coming, actually. With me having an issue with this one particular person who sits next to me in dialysis. If I keep fiddling with my eye's been bothering me all day. I hit myself in the eye with a makeup sponge this morning, so, you know, that's what women do for beauty, apparently. But, this one particular guy I wrote, and I've written this several times. My fan's blowing on me. I've written several times that this guy is like on a crash course with disaster. I know I've called him colloquially as the human aquarium, which might not be the nicest moniker, but it's actually an accurate description, actually, because with dialysis, not only does it cleanse the blood and do the work that I'm trying not to say so much, that my kidneys no longer do because both my kidneys have failed and I'm in need of a transplant. It also removes excess fluid from the body because since the kidneys are not working, you can't do number one as frequently as normal people. And, you know, excess fluid and toxins and things build up. So the purpose of dialysis is to not only cleanse the blood and remove the toxins, but also remove the excess fluid. Because if the excess fluid is not removed, I run the risk of congestive heart failure from having fluid build up around the heart and squeeze the pericardium, which is the little fluid-filled sac around the heart that helps to pump. And it also can compress my lungs, which can cause my lungs to actually collapse, and I'll need to have a chest tube put in to, you know, remove this fluid. And I've never had a chest tube, but I've seen it many times in trauma shows, and it seems like it's very painful because everybody who's ever gotten one screams and hollers like they've been set on fire. So I'm trying to avoid that. Now, there is a condition where if you have, I have a limited amount of fluid I'm supposed to ingest, which is about 40 ounces a day, which I know sounds ridiculous, but if I don't adhere to this, I will be in the hospital with fluid overload, which I have had, I think, 3 times, which is pretty darn good for 8 years that I've been on it, because I monitor what I drink like a hawk. This is my drink for the rest of the day until tomorrow. It's not orange juice, it's an energy drink. I can't have orange juice. I haven't drank orange juice in about 3 years. Now, that being said, this particular person who keeps annoying me in dialysis that I call the walking aquarium. Now, based on, they have a new thing at dialysis now where, you know, they base how much they can pull off of you by your body mass index. I'm finally within a decent body mass index for once in my entire life. And, you know, it varies from person to person because everybody obviously weighs differently. But I'm not supposed to put on any more than maybe 3 to 4 kilos, which today I only had 2 that they had to pull off. That's excess fluid. And, you know, in general, the most they've ever pulled off of me is about 8 kilos, which translates to about 18 pounds of fluid, which is a lot because there's not that much of me here. At least I hope there's not that much of me. But that being said, with this other person who's annoying me, which if you saw the little video I tweeted earlier, he had very loud music, and this is every time. This has been going on for about 2 months now. You know, I mean, I've tweeted this, I've said this. There's 24 patients on the floor at any given time. I'm horrible at math. 6 nurses, 4 patients to a particular nurse. So, like I've said before, that I'm really the healthiest person in the room because, I can walk in and out of my own volition. I'm of sound mind, thank God. I can see. There are people who are blind. There are people who are missing limbs. There are people who don't even know who they are anymore, don't know where they are anymore. The lady 2 chairs over from me stays confused all the time. I don't think anytime I've seen this woman, she's been coherent and lucid and known where she is, bless her heart. A lot of people are in nursing homes. I'm in my own home. And, it's sad the way some of these people are. Now, this particular gentleman, I use that word loosely, this particular gentleman is in a nursing home now. So, he does have round-the-clock care to look after him. He was walking at one point, but for some reason now he's being transported back and forth in a wheelchair. I don't really know what happened. I didn't get all in his business, so I didn't ask. But aside from him popping the gum, which gets on my nerves, which I'll explain why I get so angry when they give him gum. I don't chew gum. It's too easy for me to bite my mouth. And how he's basically sabotaging himself. Okay, so for me, I eat before I do dialysis, and I eat immediately after. That's why this video is late, because I ate lunch before I started filming. And even before I left my house, I got breakfast on the way to dialysis. I ate granola bars. Well, a granola bar, because it tasted like candy, so I only ate one. And the thing is, if you can sign off a treatment, you have to sign what's called AMA, which stands for Against Medical Advice, to leave. Now, I did leave out early Tuesday because I had a migraine. Now, a migraine for me is very bad, and if you're not used to seeing me have a migraine, my migraines present like a stroke. So I will have slurring, I will have, it looks like a stroke. I don't want to get into exactly what it looks like, but it's not the best visual for me to have a migraine in public. So the minute I can feel one coming on, hey, I'd like to get off. But this is a medical condition. This is a medical emergency where Tiffany has to remove herself from the floor and come home. Okay? So I think that's pretty viable to understand. A few weeks ago, I got sick while I was on treatment. That happens occasionally. I had to come home. Once again, it was a medical emergency. This person, I really wish I could say his name, but I can't for privacy issues. He always wants to get off because he's hungry. Now, I've had times where I've been in dialysis and I've been hungry, I've been tired, I've been in pain. I was in pain today because my chair was very uncomfortable. But I did my treatment time is 3 hours and 15 minutes. I ran all 3 hours and 15 minutes today. I actually pulled extra fluid off. But this person always comes out. Why I call him the human aquarium is because whereas I come in generally with 2 to 3 kilos on between treatments, he will come in with, I kid you not, 10 to 12 kilos, which is well over 20 pounds of excess fluid. And, he's kind of a big guy, but, he looks like he's pregnant from so much fluid, and for some reason the fluid collects around his belly in particular. I've seen that, I've noticed that. But his whole body is swollen, his face is swollen from the fluid. My hair hides it if my face swells. He has a short haircut, so his face is just out there. And, they tell him don't drink so much, don't eat so much, but he wants to always end his treatment early. Now, they have certain time constraints in place depending on the person and their needs. Like I run 3:15. I believe he runs 4.5 hours. Some people run up to 6 hours. It just depends on how sick you are, how much fluid they need to pull, this, that, and everything else. There's a lot of factors factoring into your particular time. When I started dialysis, I was deathly ill. So I ran 4 hours and 45 minutes, but I've been doing so well that they've knocked an hour and a half off my treatment over my 8 years. Excuse me. And, chiefly, he wants to get off because he's hungry. Now, it's not like there's nobody feeding this man. I've seen plenty of times he'll come in from the nursing home with a paper sack with sandwiches in it, little cakes and cookies and all kinds of crap he's not supposed to have, but he has it anyway, and he brings it in, and sometimes he eats it, sometimes he doesn't. I do think he has a choice in telling them what he can and cannot have and everything, so I don't know what his issue is where he doesn't have what he doesn't want to eat, or he just refuses to eat it. But his chief complaint to get off is, I'm hungry. And if it's not he's hungry, it's because he's bored, actually. And he sits this far. Okay, let me see if I can get my hands in the frame. He sits this far from me, so I can literally look over like 5 feet and look at him. I'm just spilling all the tea today. And he's just the gum. I think the nurses give him the gum because he's basically, if he's hungry, like the minute the onset of hunger hits him, like he can't. It's like those people on my 600-pound life. Like he has some sort of a crisis or psychosis or something when he gets hungry. Like if I'm hungry and I'm like, okay, I have an hour left, I'm sitting around for the hour. I mean, why would I get off when I'm doing what needs to be done? He wants to get off. He's signed off plenty of times. And I've seen all the nurses on the floor cluster around him, beg and plead with him. You have 8 kilos on. You have 10 kilos on. We need to pull some of this off. Because there's also another rule where because of your BMI, they can only pull so much. So if I walk in with 8 kilos, they cannot pull the full 8 kilos off in one treatment. They can only pull me for 3.5 max, completely. So I'd be walking out with even more than what they pull off. So let's keep this in mind. Same for him. And it's really stupid. I hate to call somebody stupid, but it really is stupid. Because these people are telling him you're putting your life at risk. You can have a heart attack. I've heard the same thing myself when I've walked out heavy with fluid. You can have a heart attack. You can do. Now here's the thing. My only health issues are I have asthma. Thanks, Mom, for smoking while pregnant. I have asthma. High blood pressure. That comes from me having to take care of both of my parents before they passed away, and I'm an only child. So, of course, my stress level is through the roof. And the whole kidney failure. But that's it. There's other people with diabetes, there's other people with blindness, just all sorts of, a whole litany of other things wrong. And I'm sure he has high blood pressure too. And all sorts of things. My eye is really bothering me. I apologize for that. And the thing is, if the nurses don't have gum to give him, as far as being hungry, he will basically throw a tantrum. This is a 55-year-old man. I don't even think he's 55, but he's like between 50 and 55. He's older than I am. So he's a grown ass man. One swear. And he's just incorrigible. Because he will cuss out everybody and their mama if they don't get him off the machine right away. Which they're trying to keep him there for his benefit. Because irregardless, whether he's there or not, the nurses are still going to cut their paychecks. They're trying to do this to benefit him. Now, that's not to say that I haven't had my bad day where I've been incorrigible too. But mine aren't every single treatment. Mine is maybe once every 2 years. And he's a mess, basically. I mean, there's a lot of swear words I can put in instead, but this is going up on YouTube, going up on Twitter. Somebody might tweet this to 3T, so I want it to be as nice and clean and friendly as possible. Hi, 3T. And, I'm getting riled up because I know what the implications of his stupidity are. Death. Too much fluid. I've seen other guys die from what he's doing. Oh, I got that hair out of my eye. They've died. They're dead. They're buried. They're pushing up daisies. Now. And some of them were close in age to him. And he does this. And the thing is, this man has already been rushed to the emergency room more than once for fluid overload. And been admitted to the hospital. Stayed in the hospital for this life-threatening issue. Did he learn? No. He double bendy straws? No, he did not. I learned my lesson the first time I went. I'm not going to let that happen again. Because right before your lungs are about to collapse, it actually mimics an asthma attack. So I thought I had an asthma attack, and I had to be rushed to the emergency room. Because I thought it was an asthma attack, but my inhaler wasn't working. Okay. So, he keeps leaving. He keeps doing all this. And then there's when they sweet talk him into making him stay, this is where he gets in on my nerves. Now, I have headphones. This is my little makeup bag that I always have with me. There's the set of pink headphones you see in my selfies. There's actually a set of unopened, absolutely brand new headphones that I have as a backup in my bag. So I don't offend anybody or bother anybody with the stuff I'm playing. Yes, 3T and Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 are great music, but it might not be everybody's cup of tea, and it might not be what everybody wants to listen to in a particular day. Specifically, when there are people around me who are sleeping. The two people who were on the opposite side of me were asleep. A gentleman and the lady were asleep. Loud boy over here. He always has his phone with him. Never has headphones. So I basically have to listen to whatever it is he's playing, which is rude. And if I was to say something, I tweeted this. If I was to say something, he'd curse me out. He doesn't want to curse me out. Let's just put it this way. He doesn't want to curse me out because, I'm nice so long as you're nice to me. When you drop the niceties, I'm going to drop the niceties. Let's put it that way. And I can swear in 3 different languages, so let's not go there. And a little bit of German, too. But, he does that. Then when somebody gives him gum, because if you don't give him gum, if the nurse, he never has his own gum. If the nurses don't give him gum, he will literally beg everybody passing by for food. And I know H-E double Benny straws well. They feed him at the nursing home. I know that. I just said they send him with food. So I don't know what his issue is. I know he's not crazy. But he will pop the gum. And he will do this for hours until his treatment is over or he decides to sign off. Again, putting his life in danger. But, it's, if it was a child doing it, I can understand. Because some people are grandparents and their grandkids are there. And, it's okay to me if the children are not on the treatment floor. The children are in the lobby waiting. But, it's okay if I'm out in the lobby and there's a 12-year-old popping gum or playing a YouTube video or something. That's fine. I don't care about that. But when I'm in dialysis, which is serious, I'm on treatment, I have needles in my arm. The needles may not be comfortable. I was lucky today. But, it's serious. And my thing, he doesn't have anything look like to occupy his time. Hell, second swear. If you're going to be there for 4 hours, ideally, 4 hours, you should have something to do. For God's sakes, read a book, find a movie to watch, do something. I have all sorts of stuff in my... If I'm not writing, working on my novel, or working on my love story blog. I have stuff to read. I have videos to watch. I have movies to watch. I have all sorts of things to do. I have a film in my disc drive right now. I like classic film. I have a Barbara Stanwyck film in my disc drive right now. I didn't watch it today, but I had it there in case. And, there's no excuse for him behaving this way. There's two ways to go about it. If you don't want to be there, sign off and know you're going to die in about 2 weeks, because that's about how long it takes, ideally, on the good end, for you to meet your maker. Or shut up and do what you have to do. Really, right now, I have absolutely no reason, really, to still be on dialysis. When I started, it was because my father bribed me. He said that he was going to take me to see Michael Jackson. This was in 2009 when Michael announced This Is It tour. That's how I got up on dialysis. I was initially not going to take dialysis. The truth of the matter is, Dad sweet talked me and said you were going to go see Michael Jackson. You know what happened? And, there was a brief period where I wanted to quit dialysis again. But I couldn't do that to my father, because literally in April 2008, my mother died. April 30th, my mother died. In April of 2009, I started dialysis, almost exactly a year later. So my father just got done burying my mother. They had been together for 33 years. I wasn't going to have him put me in the ground and have him left behind, after burying your wife and your child. So basically, my incentive for being on dialysis was staying alive for my father, which towards the end of his life, 2 years ago, I was the primary caregiver. Now keep in mind, I'm also on dialysis, dealing with all of this crap while I'm in dialysis, and coming home, watching my father slowly deteriorate with the onset of Parkinson's. Well, not the onset, the end stages of Parkinson's disease, because he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2004. And he battled it for 11 years till 2015 when God called him home. And the last 6 weeks of his life, I had to make the decision to put my father in a nursing home. Which was tough, which was very hard. But, with him not knowing where he was, not knowing who he was, and with me having to leave all the time to go to dialysis and, do various other things to upkeep the house, it just wasn't safe or practical to leave him by himself. So I had to put him in a nursing home. So, my father went on in the glory to join my mother. And, now, I have to keep encouraging myself and telling myself, okay, Tiffany, you have this, and this to stay here for. And, it's not happy and peppy all the time. I have my down days. That's normal. That's normal for everybody. But I'm determined to keep fighting. I'm determined that there's something better for me towards, somewhere in the future. I still have ambitions to be a published writer. I want to marry somebody wonderful. I have a prospect. I want to be a mother myself one day. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do that I can't die now. I have to stay alive. So I don't know. I know this man said that he had a daughter. If I had a child, I wouldn't even need to try to find a reason to live if I already had a child. My child, my baby, would be my reason to be alive. And I know he wants to be in his child's life. His ex-wife or whatever doesn't want him involved, but I know he wants that kid. And I know I've been rambling a long time, but I had to explain all of this. So you can understand that, it really is to the detriment of himself. Because he's eating all the wrong foods. We have a limited diet of stuff we're supposed to eat. I don't even think I'm supposed to be having these granola bars. But they're chocolate or they're coconut, and they taste like Mounds bars. I can't have a Mounds bar, but it tastes like a Mounds bar, and I'm going to eat them. And there's another box of these in the other room. But for the most part, I came from dialysis. I got my little blood clearances. The only thing I have a problem with is my phosphorus is a touch too high. That's because I keep eating too much processed food. But everything else is fine. My blood counts are fine. My calcium is fine. My hemoglobin is fine. Everything else about Tiffany is fabulous. Except for that. And I have medicine to attend to that particular issue. So, I hate to see this man doing this to himself, because if he's cramping, he is always sick, he's always feeling bad, but he can't seem to find the correlation between what he's doing to himself. Nobody's doing this to him, nobody's shoving him off the machine or anything like that. He's doing this to himself. Yeah, that's about the ins and outs of it. And I'm going to stop because this went on for a lot longer than I expected. And if anybody did watch this all the way to the end, are you really that bored to watch me all the way to the end? But since you did, yay! Thank you for listening to me. And I promise you, the next time I do a video, it will be a much happier, much more, just happier. I can't be happy about this because, I see the guy and, we're through for the weekend until Tuesday. This man might not make it until Tuesday again because I've seen people do that. You say, oh, bye, have a nice weekend. And the next thing you know, somebody's making, who is this texting me? Somebody is making funeral arrangements. Unnecessary funeral arrangements. For something that could be helped if you only do what's supposed to be done. And he just doesn't seem to care, which is sad. Because basically, he is wasting resources. Somebody else who really does need this treatment, because it's still not available everywhere, still needs this treatment, and is willing to do what needs to be done, is missing out because you're being a jackass. I think that counts as a third square. 3 strikes, I'm out. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching and listening to me bellyache.